Hey everyone, it's Kalen and welcome back to Kalen's Lens. I am so incredibly excited for part two with Sahana and hearing all about Sahana's journey in part one. I was so incredibly happy just having Sahana on the pod, hearing about everything that she went through growing up from like literally 9 years old, moving from India to Munich, and her journey so far from transitioning from medicine to law. Today's episode is really centered on the now. Now, I really just want to understand about Sahana's current present moments of studying law, her current career plans, and everything that she is doing right now to an excellent standard. And so, Sahana, now that we've understood about how you were shaped and the moments that were formidable to becoming Sahana. So my first question to you is, what was it that initially gave you that sort of like, I want to become a solicitor and I don't want to become a barrister?
Yeah, so I mean, it's quite different in UK compared to other countries where you qualify as a lawyer and then you're both. So I think that was, first of all, understanding the difference between the role of solicitors and barristers. And then I think it was just through attending different events at university where we had solicitors and barristers and we got to interact with them. And also, I think I knew I wanted to work in a company or in a firm, I guess. So not be sort of independent like barristers. And yeah, I don't know. I guess I was also convinced by what people around me like were speaking about in the beginning. So then I went on to research more about like the differences between the roles. And I don't know, I just felt like a solicitor would be a better fit for me.
And because of the whole sort of like firm dynamic and less so being self-employed like a barrister is, and less so advocacy in a courtroom and more advocacy with clients, do you think those distinctions were like existentially like needed for you to pursue the career of commercial law as a career path?
Yeah, and I think it's also just what makes commercial law different because you're in the business world. So you're still learning about those same sort of, I don't know, those ideas and the concepts, but you're doing law at the same time. So I'm still doing, what I like. But then I also knew I wanted to work in that commercial setting, like with businesses and like an office and that sort of environment. So I think, yeah, it's the distinction also of being, you're advocating for a company maybe of who you're representing, and it's just, I don't know, you're involved in these like business decisions and the deals, but as a lawyer. So I don't know, I just wanted to do that.
I feel like that's how everyone ordinarily does make the distinction. It's like, do you want to pursue a career where, yes, you're more advocacy in terms of it standing in a courtroom, trying to argue for those types of clients, trying to potentially argue in criminal law or family law or in the business world, in the
Yeah.
competitions room and how that then works? Or is it the case that you want to pursue commercial and you want to be at the center of how those deals are being created, how then other elements such as business, how the markets then impact that, how yields or bonds can then affect whether a deal, what sort of financial mechanism is it, debt capital markets, is it equity capital markets, is it a refinancing, how then the role of a bank, like there's so many external entities, even politics, like how politics genuinely affects every ounce of a deal, even like with the M&A market recently and how the Labour government removed stamp duty off of um being IPO'd. Like even those little things have a transformational effect. Do you think because of like you said, like the whole it is more business?
Yeah, and I think it's also because, I mean, as I said before, I have quite broad interests and I was interested in a lot of different subjects. So I really loved economics when I did it in GCSE. I really, really enjoyed economics. And I think the only reason that I didn't choose to pursue it in IB and then further on was because I did not like that maths element of it. But in terms of the theory, economics was definitely my favorite subject, like hands down. So I think that's sort of when I realized, oh, if I do commercial law and I can combine law, which I'm really enjoying, with also, a bunch of different sort of like sociology subjects like economics. And, you even have elements of psychology in deal making, which is really interesting by itself. And then you have exactly what you were talking about, the markets and a bunch of these different, issues. And I think I really like the way that all of these sort of like add up together and the different elements that you need to think of. So I think that's what really pulls me to commercial law.
100%, and it's coupled with the role and the theory and the sort of macroeconomics that you would have learned doing economics, but it's also the fact that it's the skills, and it's the case that maybe your skill set is more better suited. And it goes back to like analysis when from GCSE in part one, where you spoke about how you like analyzing a problem and figuring out particular solutions of that problem, which is such a role being a solicitor. It's like you've got a problem that your client wants you to solve, and it's how best can I solve this for that party, and what are then the bargaining issues within that specific issue. And I think as well, coupled with that, it also shows through your experiences, the experiences that you've had currently at QM and part of ELSA and part of the Pro Bono Society. So being in two positions of leadership on these committees, what have they taught you that the university theory side that we both learn about in tax law actually hasn't taught you?
I think, do you mean like when speaking with clients and those sort of things?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think first of all, with pro bono, you see a lot of these clients come in, the issues that they describe, they're not clear cut, like how they are in the problem questions. They don't go through it, logically, step by step. They start telling you something, and they're like, oh, by the way, this, and oh, by the way, that. And it's just like what starts off as like three set problems is suddenly like 25 problems that they've like come at you with. And they're like, tell me now, what do you think? And, what should I do? And I mean, obviously, they're in, situations where they're really stressed and, they don't know what to do. So I completely understand. Then it's also, at first, it's quite overwhelming because you're like, wow, these are a lot of different issues. And it's not clear cut. It's not like, yeah, this week I'm studying this topic. So all of these kinds of problems comes from this topic. It's just, it's a real world. So it's like a mixture of all these things. So I think one thing it's really taught me is also like really breaking down problems into smaller sub issues. And when you really separate them, then you can see, it's actually not as complicated as it first seemed in the beginning because okay, you have this issue and it corresponds with, I don't know, this act. And, you can split it up like that or, based on the facts or based on the timeline. And I think that's something that it's really taught me to sort of break down the problem into smaller pieces.
How does it feel like being able to put yourself in a position where you're actually helping a real life person? Like, I really want to understand, how does it feel for you in terms of the emotional side? But then also, do you actually even feel emotion whilst dealing with people that are going through harder times?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it really depends on the case and the client. But I mean, obviously you feel emotion, but I think it's also like some cases are definitely more emotional than others. So some it's, if it's, I don't know, more of a simple contract issue, maybe, there's less emotion than if it's like someone's lost their employment. So it definitely depends on the situation as well. But I think it's a really big motivator because you know that the work you're doing and the advice you're giving is going to make genuine change and there's going to be a genuine impact on that person. They're relying on it. It's not like you're doing it just for a grade or just, like exactly just to answer the question, but this is something that they genuinely need help with. So I think that's gives it a lot of motivation when you're doing it.
Do you also feel like because of that and being able to experience those situations, that these experiences have actually pushed you more into the commercial law world, more into being a solicitor than actually being a barrister? Or do you think, you know what, you actually potentially could change paths? How do you feel those experiences of actually being with the client specifically have helped you?
I think I'm definitely never gonna say that it's impossible for me to change paths because you never know what's gonna happen. I feel like solicitors the route that I enjoy. I really enjoyed that relationship I built with a client. Yeah, I guess that's another thing with solicitors. You go back and forth with the client, and that's something that I had experience with, when I was a student advisor, for example. So emailing my client back and forth and speaking to them, sort of really understanding their issues. And that's one of the aspects that I enjoyed. So I think that's also is another point for the solicitor route.
I genuinely feel it because it's like you're actually with the client, even however big, however small that it can be, the individual, that it's such like you feel it because you're helping them, even though the issue may not be as big for like in your set of life, but it's big for them in changing the course for their life through pro bono. And how, yes, pro bono is such a small part, but can leave such a small impact. And it's left an impact for you, not only as an individual in terms of emotional side, but also it's led to some incredible other opportunities as well. Like it's gave you a job, like you're being paid to do something as well. So are you able to go into any further details about how that sort of journey took place and like if you could give any advice for someone that really loves giving back to the community?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's still ongoing at the moment. The details are not sorted out yet, but essentially, as part of the Pro Bono Society, I'm a clinic supervisor. So I go to a pro bono clinic and I'm able to supervise student volunteers, help them with sort of their experiences, and so they sit in with solicitors who are giving legal advice and they take notes, and I help with a lot of like sorting out paperwork, scanning, and a lot of the admin stuff. And as well as that, I also triage clients in. And something that, I mean, I never expected was, I guess, to get a job out of it because I sort of went for volunteering. But I've been there now for about 5 months, maybe. And something is that, they really appreciate the extra support. And they were like, would you be able to cover in and fill in for some of the staff when they're not available? And I mean, I never asked for that. That was just something that came up. But I guess what I would say is just try your best, whether it's volunteering or whether you're getting paid for it. If you put in a lot, if you put in your best foot forward, you never know what's going to happen. And also, you get to interact with solicitors who are advising the clients, just listening in. Like, I've learned a lot about housing issues because we see that quite a bit. So, for example, with Section 21 notices, that's not going to be there soon. But for now, that's something that I've seen a lot of, certain employment issues. So I think also if you just like absorb from the environment, you sort of just understand what the solicitor is advising. And you see a lot of situations, they're not that different in the sense that there's only a limited amount of advice that the lawyers can give. So when I go week after week and I hear similar things, I'm able to sort of guess what advice a solicitor would give even before they say it to the client. And then also another thing is how to deal with clients who might have mental health issues and they have the need to keep speaking to you. And I don't know how to deal with clients who are maybe a bit more aggressive in the sense they're like, we have to be seen, we came at this time but we have limited appointments. So yeah, it's led to a really wide range of experiences.
You said it so like eloquently about right. There was one point right at the beginning that really like hit me. It's just the fact that you can see how much that experience has shaped you because it's the realization that throughout that you were showing that even though you're not got someone that is like a mentor so to speak, and everyone says like a mentor, but you're actively taking the opportunity to hear how a solicitor speaks, hear how a solicitor gives advice, but also actually listen to the advice that they're giving that you can then use for yourself. It's like you're not looking for a mentor, you're looking for advice and you're asking questions in those situations that has allowed you to also grow your own skills, but also give back to the wider community in so many different ways. And on that note, especially with the whole wider community, do you feel like this initiatives and this role that you've been in has been fundamental for you during your time at university?
Yeah, I definitely feel that that's something, and it's given me, so I mean, I'm sure you also understand, it's like when we have those Monday appointments, for the domestic abuse clinic or for social welfare, it sort of feels fulfilling. You're like, wow, I used my Monday evening, to do something useful and, to really help someone. Especially when you have those clients who are really friendly and they're like, oh, thank you so much. I couldn't have done this. It just feels like, wow, I really helped someone, whether I could just instead I would have just been sitting at home, I don't know, doing nothing. So I don't know, it feels satisfying and it feels motivating as well. You're like, wow, the work that I'm doing and the career that I want to go into is actually going to help someone. Whether, you do pro bono as like your entire career, or whether you dedicate some time to pro bono, you can still have this opportunity to make a difference.
100%. And I truly relate. Is like when I came out of those meetings, I did feel like this sense of, wow, like I've actually helped change potentially someone's life. I've helped change the outcome that they're going to receive from their personal independence form, being able to get that benefit. Do you feel, like, you know what, I might actually want to do a lot more with pro bono?
Yeah, I'm sort of both ways about it, I guess. Maybe I'd want to step into other roles in pro bono as well. That's something that I want to explore next year. But I mean, again, I don't know if I would want to do it full time just because I feel like, as I said, I have a lot of other interests. So if there would be a way, where you could like sort of mix all of those sort of aspects in, that would be amazing. But I think I'd also want to do pro bono as well as commercial work just because I have these broad range of interests and I want to be able to explore all of them. But I definitely want to try new pro bono experiences next year and continue doing that throughout because that's something that I really, really value.
And I feel every person can relate. It's good to give back. Like there is genuinely a sense of good, but you do know that that is changing something fundamentally for them. You do recognize that that one moment is going to change so much in their life, and that when you get that email to find out that you did help them, that you did do something and that it did lead to something incredible, like that moment kind of just sits with you. It's like, wow, I've actually done something that's changed another person's life. In terms of like recognizing that you're helping so many people along the way, do you feel that there's this sort of like pressure to do these experiences, is to get leadership positions on societies, to give back to pro bono, but also recognizing that there is a lot of stress about the toll that it may take on your actual studies? Do you feel that in yourself, or do you feel like you have your life sort of organized in a way that you can actually do all these experiences and do them all to an excellent standard?
I mean, definitely, I think that is a balancing game because you have your academics on the one hand, and then you have all these sort of other activities and contributions. I mean, the only good thing I would say is academics is you do it throughout the year, and obviously you have a couple of different assignments, but it's maybe not as demanding on a weekly basis as a couple of these extracurriculars might be. So volunteering, for example, but then again, like for now, when we're coming into exam season, I think that's when you really sort of see the balance. I mean, I guess at the same time, the society positions are also less work at this point in time. So, I mean, maybe not, but you definitely do have to balance both of these things, especially when you have an important assignment and then also, an advice letter due at the same time. But I think time management is an important skill anyway. So as long as you plan out your schedule, obviously things can come up, but as long as you can plan it out beforehand, to the best of your abilities, then it should be okay.
Are you an avid planner then? Like, do you plan a lot of the things in your life? Do you plan like everything, sort of all the tutorials, all the classes, when you're going to go to the workout or when you're going to go home? Do you plan absolutely everything so it's organized? Or do you actually just plan it day by day or week by week, so to speak?
Yeah, actually, I don't plan it that much out in advance. And I think, yeah, it depends. Usually I plan week to week or I plan like maybe 3 or 4 days in advance, unless I have something like, for example, when we have an exam, I'm like, okay, I know that's there. So then I plan out my study separately. But in terms of my day, I'm usually pretty free flow. So then, I mean, some days I get a lot more than I expected to get done. Some days I don't get as much done. And I've sort of just accepted that I don't then like say like, "Oh no," I'm not too harsh on myself when I don't get things done that I wanted to do because I usually anyway put on my to-do list a lot more things than I expected to get done. I don't know if that's just because I'm ambitious or I genuinely think I can get it done. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that's how I plan things, especially because things always come up randomly. And then to sort of fit that in, I found that it's a waste of my time to like plan out my day to the T when unexpected things come up, then I have to change the plan anyway. But that's how I do it.
100%. And I feel that because it's like you don't know, you can't predict if you're going to get a random, like for yourself, like if you're going to have to go back to the LAC to do a
Yeah.
letter, you can't predict if, I don't know, something urgent's got to come up, or you can't predict if, let's say, let's go to Prezzo or let's go for food. Like we can't predict these things. It's about giving yourself that flexibility in
Yes.
life to just be like, I'm organized, and that shows like you're organized, you have your limits, you have your to-do lists, which does relieve those hidden pressures that students face on trying to juggle so many things at different times. Is just key, is just make sure to be organized, have absolutely everything written down. It's okay to have an organized sort of timetable that allows you to feel sort of like relieved to begin your day. But also, it's a recognition that you don't feel behind. Because I feel like the students, so many of us at so many points feel like we're behind. We're behind our co students, we're behind everyone, like we're not doing enough, like someone did all this and we're not doing enough as them. But it's like, take a moment to like genuinely just breathe, take a moment to just see that you made it this far, you're absolutely smashing your goals and you're doing and giving back and doing so many things alongside uni, which they say should just be a full-time thing and just on your studies, but that's not the reality for so many people. And so do you have any advice for people that maybe feeling overwhelmed or maybe just questioning the pressure element of it?
Yeah, I mean, to the pressure thing, I would say that one thing is important is to really just take a break and find different, maybe, spend time doing hobbies. So I'm really a big advocate for any sort of creative hobbies. I think that really gets your brain flowing. If you're a sports person, going on a run, going to the gym, any sort of break that you can have, even just going on a walk. So you just take time away. Because I feel like the time away that you take, you think of a lot of different ideas during that time, which then, you come back to your work and that's really beneficial. And in terms of I guess, feeling behind, that's a completely normal feeling. I don't know anyone who doesn't feel behind or feels like they should be doing more. Like even these people we see, on social media or even in real life that we feel like, oh wow, they have this and that and they're doing this and that. Even they feel behind looking at other people. So I think that's just a feeling that we have to learn how to use as motivation rather than as feeling, to like let you down and feel demotivated and just bad about yourself. Because there's always someone who's doing more than you, but there's always someone who's doing less than you as well. So it's just that idea of that, you're completely normal. Everyone's doing different amounts. You're not going to be the best, but you're definitely not the worst either. So I think it's just that, that understanding.
You're so right. And it comes back to that whole comparison game. It's the fact that you're continuously comparing all that you're doing in your life to somebody else. But it's the realization that everyone is on two different paths. No one's on the same path.
Yeah.
You want to pursue a specific career here. They want to pursue a specific career here. They are both not wanting to do the same things, but it's like, even though you're wanting to get to similar goals, that outlook isn't going to be the same. How you get there isn't going to be the same. For one person, they may want to do it really, really soon and get to that position. For another, they may be like, I just want to get to that point in a couple of years' time and take a slower journey and really absorb everything that I'm doing. And that's okay, because even though you may be feeling behind, what's right for you is what's right for you. And it's accepting that. It's accepting that, I'm doing this for myself and only for myself. I'm doing this because I want to. And so, with that, do you believe in a work life balance or not?
Yes, do believe in a work-life balance, and I think it depends again on how much you balance it. Some people balance life more and some people balance work more. And I think that itself, it doesn't always have to be 50-50. For most people, it's not 50-50. And I think it also depends on really the career that you're going after. So, like for us, we know that our work is going to be more of a priority. Not to say that, your other things are not a priority, but we are going to have to put in more effort, with work. And I think it exactly, so it really depends on, the career path and also the type of person you are. But it's still important to take a break, to spend time doing your hobbies, to just spend time with family, to go out. If you don't like going out, like I'm a big reader, so I love reading and I don't know what I would do if I didn't, read a couple of books.
What would you say if I was to flip it and I changed the phrase from work life balance to work life alignment? How would that change your view?
I honestly think that that might be better because in terms of balance, I guess you think of it as 50-50. But alignment, I guess, goes along with what I was saying is that everyone has different goals, work goals, life goals. So some people might prioritize, life goals more than work goals. And it's all just dependent on the person. So I think you're right, actually, with alignment.
100%. And really and truly hate the phrase work life balance because I know everyone, like when we have conversations, especially, it's just like, what is a balance? Like, what parts are balance? It's like, I know for myself, and I can only speak for myself, is that my life isn't balanced. I'm not speaking to my parents the same amount of time I'm doing my studies. I'm not
Yeah,
speaking to my brother the same amount of time. I'm not with my friends for the same amount of time. Like nothing is balanced. 80% is my work, my career, my goals, my projects. Then that's the other 20%. My health falls into that as well, and it's like going to the gym for an hour every single day minimum. Like, that is a part of me. It's nothing is ever balanced, it's like everything's aligned. It's like each area of our lives are aligned to achieving a certain thing. Like, my
yeah,
career goals are aligned to achieving the end goal in my life of what I want to achieve. My health journey is me wanting and is aligned to me wanting to achieve the health goals that I have of staying fit, staying healthy, potentially running a marathon one day. Like they're my goals, and I'm working towards those goals. Even with family, I don't need to be ringing my parents every single day and speaking with my mum and dad every single day because that's just not me. But if that's something that other people like doing, then you do that. It's about we all have to figure out what it is that we are working towards and are they aligned to working to those end goals? And if they're not, something in our life has to change, whether that be the way that we approach life, but also whether that be the way that we see the life that we want to live, see the goals that we want to achieve. And like Sahana said, it's about taking the time out of those moments to really focus and starting with yourself, whether that be for Sahana, like reading a book, whether that be by being by herself, as she mentioned in part one, where she likes to spend a lot of time with herself. And so it's just really making sure to just focus in on ourselves, focus in on who we are as individuals and what we want to achieve. And like we've said, it's never the case that everyone's journey is the same. There are points in your life where your parents may take more priority because they're becoming old. It may be the case that your siblings become a higher priority because they might be like getting married and having kids and you're going to be an uncle or an aunt. It might be the case that every different event in your life is happening and that has to take priority over work or over health. And that's okay. And it's accepting those moments. But for you, Sahana, I know you mentioned your love for reading and why you just love reading so much. So I was wondering if you could share, like, what truly is it about reading that takes you away from your studies? Because even like your studies are literally focused on reading.
I think, I'm a big reader, especially, I love so I guess anything it's a form of escapism, really. So rather than TV shows, I just like to when I read, I imagine things, I guess, and I don't know, I just like that. So I really love mysteries and I love figuring things out. I love crime thrillers. I don't know, so it's just honestly, I thought I love criminal law because of all of these things. But then I'm like, I don't mind criminal law, but I don't love it as much as I like tax law, which it's like the opposite of, like, what I like reading. So, I don't know, I guess it's just yeah, you don't I guess that also just shows you, like, you never really know until you've experienced something. Because I really thought I'd love criminal law, but, I don't love it as much as you. So, I think that reading for me is just a form of escapism. I like figuring things out, I like a lot of like these twists and turns and it's just exciting and it's like yeah, I guess you experience a lot of things reading as well, like you look through these different characters and they have I don't know different things that they do that you're like wow that's so stupid or wow that's amazing and I don't know I just yeah.
It just help I feel like it just helps, like, in the world of imagination, in the world of, like, creativity, like, just being able to be creative and challenging all these different, "Oh my god, this person's doing this in the book," which is so abnormal or, like, so different. And, like, I feel like that's also just, like, a way for people to really have, like, a different element, have a different interest. Like, even watching films, kind of I feel like for a lot of people, it probably relates. If you love love stories, you're probably gonna love a love film. If you love horror, you're probably gonna love a horror book or those types of genres. So it's really just like finding your niche and that becomes a part of your identity, which it has obviously for you. But it's also like really creative to channel that through your studies as well, showing the relationship between being a creative person. You thought, oh my God, I'm really going to love crime because these people really do some creative and elaborate crimes and commit murder in such an elaborate way that I never would have thought of. And then it's like, I don't actually like that as much as I love like reading about it. I don't actually like that. And it's about having distinct identities, like for yourself with tax law, which, we love it. but for me, it's not my love, and for you, it's your absolute love. And it's like that then becomes your identity. So, do you have any advice for people who might be struggling to figure out their identity?
I honestly think it's just trying as many different things as possible. Any opportunities that you have. Obviously, there comes a point where you have sometimes too many opportunities. And that's also something that I felt at university where I was like, wow, I have so many opportunities and I don't know which to do. And I feel like if I don't do all of them, I'm falling behind again, as we said. But I think it's also just, you don't have to do everything. It's just you can pick and choose a couple of them, try them out. If you like them, that can become your identity. But if you don't, then you can move on to other things and try them. So it's just keep on trying things because you never know what you're gonna like. I mean, I didn't think I would like tax as much as I do. Thought I'd love crim. I thought I love land, but I don't like equity as much. So it's just, you just have to keep trying things and seeing what aligns with you. And it's obviously, it's a bunch of different factors. It could be, the tutors, the actual content, the type of questions you get. So for academics, but even for other things, there are a bunch of different factors that goes into whether you like it or not. So just because you don't like it at a particular time doesn't mean you're never going to like it. You could like it in the future or you could hate it. So it's just keep on trying things is my big advice.
The perfect ending sort of like sentence before the final close, because just hearing trying everything, trying things that you don't think would be you. Like, I know that for me, like, I began to try the gym. I hated PE growing up, and that was like 360. And obviously, for yourself, trying like tax law and realizing that that is something that I'm actually super interested in, actually love it. And like, even the direct comparison with like equity and land, they are two very similar topics in terms of you've got land law, you've got equity, they're all based on property and assets. But it's like, I actually hate the sort of ambiguity, I would love to say, in equity, but also love the slightly more certainty in land law, though neither one is actually certain when we actually start answering these questions. And it's like, that is okay. It's like, try new things, explore, experiment, because that really is the only way you're going to be able to learn. And so, upon reflection, and the final key reflection piece that I wanted to ask you specifically on looking back over your entire journey from that 9-year-old girl from part one that we were able to hear and learn about, from her journey from India to Munich, from going through 10 different schools, from moving from medicine to law, and all about the experiences that you've had on your law degree so far and that you plan to have in the next year. What does success look for you right now compared to the beginning?
I think in the beginning, I had really specific goals. I was like, by 2 years, I'm going to do this. By 3 years, I'm going to do this. By 5 years, I'm going to do this. But now I honestly just take success as anything where any sort of achievement that I'm proud of. I take little things that I'm proud of and also larger things. And I don't even focus on success, to be fair. I'm just looking at, what my goal is, the work I'm putting in, and then just, realizing that sometimes some things work out, sometimes, they don't work out, and just building on that resilience. So I don't even, view success as that endpoint, but just more about what I'm doing and what I can improve on. And I think because I cannot control the outcome, but I can control what I'm doing towards that and the work and how to improve. So that's what I focus on.
I cannot control the outcome, but I can control the work that I do. That is the perfect like sentence, the ending. Just, my God, I have chills right now hearing it, because it's just like, wow, I don't know what the outcome's going to be in my life. Sahana doesn't know the outcome that's going to come of hers. But what she does know is that the amount of work that she puts in can potentially lead to that outcome, can potentially lead to her further exceeding that outcome. And it's all based on the time that you spend focusing upon yourself, but also that time you spent doing the work and putting in 100% effort into everything that you do. You have to be excellent at everything that you do, because you have control over that. You have control over the time that you spend, the work that you put in. You have time to be who you want to be because you know that and you control that. You have the control to change your course of your life just like that in a split second. You can take that moment and be like, if I want to achieve this outcome, I have to put in the work to achieve it. But I can't control what comes of that outcome. But what I can control is the effort and the time I spend producing that outcome. And that time is where the real change happens. If I don't spend that time, I'm not going to go and achieve it. I'm really not. And in fact, I might restrict myself and I might make it harder on myself for not achieving it. But the time that I spend practicing and working on the work to get to that outcome will be achieved. And so, Sahana, honestly, thank you so much for that sentence because it genuinely has given me chills just thinking about it. It's like reshaping my like thinking right now of like, I have these goals, and it's like, no, I have the goals, I will achieve them, but I can only control the work that I put in to actually achieve them. And so, thank you. Thank you so much for coming on Kalen's Lens in this two-part series of where we were able to really get to know you on a more deeper level, so to speak. We were able to explore your journey and the career path that you've taken on, and how that did a complete 360 from medicine into law, and what the future holds for you, which I can imagine is going to be so incredible. The amount of things you're about to achieve in your third year at university, the amount of things you're going to achieve in your exams. I genuinely wish you all the best, and I think you're going to absolutely smash it. So, to the listeners, I really hope that you were able to take everything that Sahana said, writing it down, taking notes. So, listeners, thank you for listening. And to Sahana, thank you for being such an incredible guest who was willing to share absolutely everything with us. Thank you so much to everyone that has listened to this episode of Kanan's Lens. I will see you all in the next episodes.